Hello. My mic wasn't working for a moment. Hi guys, how are we tonight? Hello Willow, Ellipti, Skitty, Duality, Lunar, no worries. Turtle, how are you? I hope we're all having a very lovely night. It is a lovely night to be reading fanfiction. Hi Kish, how are you? Also the summary, it has been updated. So I will briefly... Oh god. Oh, my eyes! Okay, there we go. Sorry for flashbanging anybody. The summary, I finished writing it for chapter 6. So I will... we'll just read where I left off. Actually, we still have to hang out for a little bit in chat, so... before we start. So I'll just read chapter 6's summary. So, before chapter 6, chapter 5, Karkat had been getting ready for the fire resistance test. He goes to do it, and after the fire doesn't really affect him, but not because of the spell, because of something to do with the species, he passes out. He wakes up in the nurse's office after having technically failed the test, because he fainted during it. He'll have to retake it later, but he's excused, for now and also from work. He is given permission, though, to go to his future seeing class with Rose, and they learn about tasseography, which is the art of reading tea leaves. Rose's reading goes poorly, as it has always seemed to be now with her trying to do her seeing powers again. Doesn't work, and she figures out that not only is her powers not working, she thinks that it's a entity specifically going out of their way to block her future sight, and so she's pissed off about that. Karkat is more successful, and he gets 2 readings. One of them is a perfect red circle in a white cup, and the other is a black spade. Karkat connects the black spade to Spade Slick, and wonders if they will cross paths again. After class, Karkat asks Solux indirectly about demon reproduction, and comes to the conclusion that his species isn't half demon. He's kind of trying to cross out the possibilities. He also tells Solux about his tea reading, and the demon reacts a bit tightly to the mention of spades. Due to the cancelled xenobiology class, the group decides to pick up magical combat as their new elective, despite Dave's reluctance. Karkat retakes his exam before class and passes it successfully. The class then gets a lecture on the history of magic and how how the human magical language BASIC came about. For their next assignment, they are split into groups and told to recreate the fire resistant spell, but in the newly taught language. During Karkat's shift at the library, he finds a face student crying on the stairway. He comforts her and listens to her vent while giving reassurances, but realizes he didn't even get her name before she leaves. Spades then finds him in the office and gives Karkat a message to deliver to Solux, but he has to work his wording around due to magic restricting what he can tell Karkat. Karkat then goes to Dave and Solux's dorm and delivers the message, quote, "Part of your uncle's body is being dug up and you should do something about that." Solux and Dave are both confused, as demons don't have family members, but Solux seems to deduce something, and after connecting Karkat's first tea reading to the flag of Japan, he tells Dave he has to go, and not to summon him back until Solux returns himself. Solux keeps the two in the dark about what's going on, leaving them both confused as he rushes out. The next morning, Karkat and Rose chat as the TV plays news about a hurricane predicted to make landfall in Japan. Dave pokes his head into the dorm and starts to talk about Rose about a problem they have now that Solux isn't around. He's obviously trying to be secretive with Karkat in earshot, and Karkat takes the hint and retreats to his room to give him some privacy. During breakfast, Rose notes how she and Dave will be exchanging some missing classes, and decide to go to student services about it before Karkat can inquire further. June warns him not to ask Rose what's going on. Karkat leaves, a bit dejected that he can't help with whatever is happening with the twins. He checks his phone to see Twitter talking about a strange clown rally that is gathered by the magical archaeological base outside of Nara in Japan. Karkat then goes to class to work on his basic assignment with Dave, with Solux obviously being absent. And later that night, Rose comes back to the dorm, and Karkat refrains from asking her where she's been, instead expressing her gratitude for her being his roommate. He also guiltily tells her about how his tea leaf predictions came true, feeling sorry that hers don't seem to work. She dismisses his apology, saying how it isn't necessary, and they muse on what Solux could possibly be up to in Japan. Bada bing, bada boom. That's the summary so far. If I get a 20 for every time I catch up on the restreams that late, I'm gonna have 2 coins. Not much, was funny, already happened. Hell yeah. Alright, so with that, I'm kind of waiting for Sino to show up. So I'll wait another couple minutes. But if not, we'll just get started. Ekarkit is like, God, I'm such an asshole. Does the most kind, empathetic, and considerate thing possible. Very true. Very, very, very true. He thinks he's a dick, and he's literally not. That's the thing with, remember in, YWDMP, the Vantis, fucking, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Your words. Let me see how I could Control F find this. Vantis. What would it be? What was it called? Template? Yeah, here it is, here it is. Here it is, hold on. I found it. If my stream will load. Wait, template. Nope. It's somewhere here. There we go. I am a horrible / the worst person role relationship because I entirely reasonable and normal emotion want / thought. I should be better at activity / trait / relationship. I'm always the worst. And the fact that previous examples of not being horrible doesn't change that because minor mistake. So if anything, that's proof more that I'm the worst. I should be impossibly high standard, but I am not. What's worse, the fact that I am not impossibly high standard of perfection? I am a burden on somebody else. What? You're pointing out the time that I was flawlessly successful at thing? That's what I'm supposed to be doing. That doesn't deserve praise. That's the standard. The fact that you would praise me for perfection of a thing, trait / role, shows me just how much I have to improve. Of course, I wouldn't hold you to that standard. It's different for you. Your circumstance / trait / empathetic take, and you're doing your best, but I'm devastating self-put down. I just need to be impossible state of perfection. I'll do that by trying harder and being better forever. It's the fucking Vantis way. I love this fucking breakdown. it's so good. The Vantis score, true. It's perfection. I don't know how they managed to do it. Alright. I guess we'll get started. I was kind of waiting for someone to dip into chat, but I think that they will catch the stream later, which is okay. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I have some snacks here with me. So if I'm munching during stream, I might be munching during stream a little bit. I won't do it into the mic, but as always, good luck with the stream. I hope you have a good time. Thank you. Thanks for popping by. Alright, we're gonna get started. I was kind of debating doing 2 chapters this tonight, but I'm probably only gonna do 1. Because I was thinking about it more, and I have work and stuff I gotta get done tonight, and I don't want to go too crazy late. So we'll probably just do 1. But without any more delay, we're gonna get started. And here we go. Okay, Chapter 7, Black Magic. Oh wait, I need to turn down the music a little bit, because the music is quite loud. I was checking the volumes yesterday, and I thought that the music... I made the music pretty quiet yesterday, and I thought that it was a good take, or a good shot. Just so it isn't too overwhelming. A little bit higher. I just want a little bit of volume. So we'll see how that sounds. Okay. I can look at the levels later. Okay. Here we go. A week has passed, and your life is full of mysteries that stubbornly refuse to be solved. Without any explanation at all, Dave and Rose have been alternately disappearing. Dave vanishing from some classes, and Rose from others. You almost never see them in the same place at the same time anymore. In fact, when Rose is gone, Dave often shows up at yours to study and work with you on your project. The two of you have to work way harder since that good-for-nothing Solix ditched both of you for his mysterious task. Who's going to complain about getting to spend more time with Dave, though? Not you. You have a bonkers work ethic, man. Dave sighs one night. He's not doing a lot of work and is instead sitting next to you at your table, spinning his pen around in his hand. He's kind of balancing it on his thumb or something to do it. You don't know how he's managing it, and you're sure that if you tried, you'd look like an idiot and screw it up. I just want to make sure that we pass our basic classes. We can't study anything more advanced until this, or than this until we pass, remember? You point out as you flick through your textbook. Yeah, but you need to be more chill. You'll pass. I know you will, Dave reassures you. Your confidence in me is nice, but until my last test, I wasn't even sure that I had magic at all. I want to do everything I can to stay here. Anyway, it's not like this stuff is boring. It's magic, Dave, you tell him. Seriously, the things you do with this stuff changes things through actual magic, a huge force of nature at your command. That's incredible. How could anyone not be enthused by that? Dave wrinkles his nose a little and seems to think about what you said. I guess. It's boring basic stuff, though. The things I'm really interested in doing are ages away. Maybe I'm biased. I saw magic all the time at home, and there's a certain amount of instinctive magic that I can do anyway, so this spell to tell us what something isn't exactly exciting, Dave says with a shrug. Yes, it must be so hard for you being so magically gifted and growing up in a home with magic in it, you say, thoroughly unimpressed. All right, I'm just saying. I'm impressed with how dedicated you are to this level of study at all. I was giving you a compliment. Don't jump down my throat for it, man. Dave groans and leans back in his chair. Perhaps you were being a little prickly there. Besides, it's not like you should really be mentioning his home life with how secretive he and Rose are about that. You bite your lip and stare unseeingly at your book as you try to salvage this. What instinctual magic do you have? I know Rose used to be a seer. What about you? You ask him. Instinctive might be overselling it. Solix and my mom taught me, and I'm not all that good at it. I can't do it when I'm stressed. I have to focus. I probably could do it without a thought if I knew how to write the spell out and hold on to it better. I think that what my mom and Solix do, but I'm okay. I think that's what my mom and Solix do, but I'm okay. Dave rambles. You look at him expectantly. You're not going to wait for him to run out of the conversation because you've had enough solo time with Dave at the coffee place in your study sessions to know that Dave doesn't ever run out of words, and you have to cut him off yourself. You can do it with a look, which is what you're going for now. Sure enough, Dave trails off, his ears going pink. He looks away from you and raises his hand off the table. Your phone is on the table. You'd looked something up with it earlier, and it suddenly starts to glow ever so softly. It's a subtle red aura around the device, just enough for you to see that it's there. You gasp when your phone floats slowly off the table with a delicate movement of Dave's fingers. It floats in midair above the table. He's using telekinesis. Holy shit, you whisper. It's not all that. You should see what Solix can do. I mostly just use it for turning off the lights when I'm in bed or taking stuff out of the oven when I can't find the oven gloves, Dave admits and lowers your phone back down to the table. What's the heaviest thing you can pick up? You say in awe, and pick up your phone for comparison. Fully off the ground, I can pick up a 2-liter bottle of apple juice or water or whatever. It being apple doesn't make a difference except being far tastier. I can drag a chair with nothing on it, but it's hard. I can't do people, Dave tells you. Why and how are you underselling telekinesis, Dave? You demand. I mean, it's, Dave says in a complete waste of words that could have meant something, could have conveyed an idea, but yet were denied such purpose. So cruel. I don't know, that's disgustingly cool. How dare you? You snap at him. You think I'm disgustingly cool? Dave grins, looking all smug and self-satisfied. I didn't say that, you deny hotly. You don't think he's cool, but he is distressingly appealing to you. That counts. Nah, I think that's what you said. It's my very cool word against yours, Dave says teasingly. I think you're just distracting me so that we don't have to keep doing our project, you accuse him. Oh no, you've caught on to my dastardly scheme. How could this have happened? Dave yawns and stretches his arms above his head lazily. Your traitor's eyes go to that revealed strip of skin that comes into view with him moving like that, and it takes willpower to not think of that, and instead you turn your mind to studying again. Despite Dave's lackluster attitude to studying, you do manage to make progress both in and out of class, though it's not helped by Dave missing a whole bunch of classes for reasons he refuses to go into. June is steadfastly unhelpful on the matter and doesn't tell you anything. She doesn't even act like this is weird, not even when Dave is absent from alchemy class and she has to pair up with you because both your partners are missing. As for Solux, well, you've not seen Spade slick around anywhere since he gave you his message, but you have been watching the news diligently. The storm battering Japan's coast has certainly delayed this big dig, but doesn't seem to have stopped it properly. Moreover, the dig site on the outside of Nara is inexplicably surrounded by clowns, to the confusion of basically everyone. You've not seen any footage of Solux or any mention of demons at all, so if he's there, then he's being subtle about it. You don't know why the twins are pulling their vanishing act, and you don't know what's going on in Japan, or what's up with Solux. At this point, the list of things you do know is smaller than the list of things you don't know. Here's another thing you don't know: how to get Dave's attention. Wait, no, not like that. Well, you wouldn't push that idea away, but it's not what you meant, really. You wave at Dave through the thick glass, but he's obliviously looking down at his notepad on his hand. You've already tried to open the door to this stupid practice room, but it seems to be locked tight, and you have no idea how to open it. Banging on the glass produces no result either. Not surprising, as it looks like it's 6 inches thick. Despairingly, you pull your phone out to call Dave, but when you do, it goes straight to voicemail. You guess the signal can't penetrate the practice room. Well, what now? You stare at the phone in your hand until an idea pops in your head. You turn the brightness on the flashlight all the way up, press it to the glass, and quickly tap it on and off as fast as you can. After a few seconds, Dave's head perks up, and he looks around at you, the light bouncing off his shades. Instead of helping you open the door, he bobs his head and sort of dances to some techno beat that only he can hear. Lowering the phone, you narrow your eyes at him, and you can see Dave say "aw" as he walks over to the door. I can't believe my light man would let me down like that, Dave says as he opens the door and shoves it with his shoulder. You couldn't hear me, and I couldn't open the door. I had to do something, you tell him. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. You just have to, move it turn-wise, Dave tells you. I know you say these things like those words have meaning, but they really don't, you grumble. Dave looks quietly amused and steps aside for you to get in the practice room with him. He closes the door after you, and you both take in the bright white practice space around you. It's all magically isolated. There is an inverse bell curve going on with who gets the rooms mostly. You've got your new students like us who don't know what we're doing enough to not accidentally damage important things, and then it dips down. The more we know what we're doing, then when you get to the postgrads, it ticks up. We're in here because we don't know what we're doing, and they get in here because the university doesn't trust them when they say, no, they totally know how to pull this off, Dave explains. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing, huh? You muse. Yeah, well, a lot can do terrible things too, Dave says softly. You look around, but he's got his nose buried in his notebook. I don't suppose Solux has contacted you to tell you if he's ever planning on showing up again for this 3-way project that we're supposed to be doing? You ask Dave rather pointedly. Our project is a 3-way? Who said our school was boring? Dave says teasingly. There's a flash of a smile in there too, so it's half his interpretation of your poor word choice that turns your ears red and half that smile. You know what I mean, you snap. I haven't heard anything, but it's fine. We can do this together, Dave tells you. You hesitate. Believe in us, Carcat, Dave says smoothly, lowering his sunglasses enough to look at you over the top of them. You hate how your heart leaps into your throat at that, especially as Dave ruins it by laughing and going back to normal. Focus, Carcat, focus. I think he's in Japan, but you don't know that for... I think he's in Japan, but you don't know that for sure, do you? Have you heard anything? You ask him as you try to get back on topic. No, Dave admits. Doesn't that worry you? You ask him and throw your hands up in the air like the overdramatic fuck you are. I'm not thrilled, no, but you saw him get hit by a truck and get back up. I don't want him hurt, of course I don't, but it's not as if anything can kill him out there. Sometimes he just goes off and does stuff. Usually he shoots me a message or two, but if he can't, then he can't. There's nothing I can do about it, Dave tells you. He's wrong. More accurately, he's lying. He could absolutely be doing something about it. He has the power to summon Solux. Solux had specifically told him not to do so. Dave could still do it, though. Drag Solix away from whatever he's doing in Japan, or whatever he's doing, probably in Japan in a storm with clowns. But he refuses to. He won't go against what Solix asked of him. You wonder how the fuck that played out. A demon making contact with a much younger Dave, and how it led to the situation where Dave won't even entertain the thought of doing something that Solix sincerely asked him not to. You can convince him into doing it, and it'd be a waste to try. Hello, Chris Rin, but also bye, Chris Rin. I don't want to be spoiled, so I'm just probably going to say hi. Aw, no worries, Arch. You probably already dipped, but I hope you're doing well. I know you're reading Alternate Universe, so maybe you'll be able to pop in soon once you catch up. Where were we? That asshole's going to owe us both. That asshole's going to owe us both big time for doing all the work on this goddamn project, you grumble. I know, right? Dave grins. Yeah, nothing you can do against that kind of blind faith. That kind of faith should be frustrating, but something about it is touching to you. Admirable in a way. So, this basic stuff, you say, running a hand through your hair. Right, yeah. These basic-ass spells. So, look, I think I've worked out what the first thing on the worksheet wanted us to do, Dave says, sitting down and beckoning you over to join him as he runs his fingers over the scribbled writing in his notebook. He's left-handed. You hadn't noticed before. When he gestures as he talks, you can see the smear of ink on the side of his hand from rubbing it over not completely dry letters as he writes. It's stupidly endearing for a trait shared by, 10% of the population? You're staring at him with your heart going pitter-patter in your chest over what hand he writes with. You have it bad, Karkat Vantus. So, do you think that's right? Dave asks, looking around at you. You weren't listening to a damn thing he was saying. Can you do that again? With less rambling metaphors, you ask, because there were certainly some of those in there. Fine. No worries, Sino. Only thing that's happened so far is, actually I can just scroll up a little bit. I will do this to remember where we are. Yeah. Dave, it's just been Dave and Karkat, hanging out, chatting a little bit about stuff. Karkat asks Dave, Dave is Karkat is really enthusiastic about studying and stuff like that, and Dave is impressed by that. And Dave shows off that he has a little bit of telekinesis to Karkat. But Dave's underselling it. And they talk a little bit more. And then eventually they are in the study room, or one of the study rooms, working on the assignment that they have to do for the basic class, or the basic language class, whatever. Dave and Karkat talk about Solix a little bit. And then we just had a little bit of a ramble where Karkat is so fucking down bad. So fucking down bad for Solux, or not Solux, for Dave. Okay. Alright, back to it. You shuffle a touch closer and look over his work. Not just his work, actually. You're the one who wrote the output part of this spell in class the other day. Dave had taken the job of working out the shapes part, but it's a neater solution than you would have thought. You chew on your lip as you slowly read over the spell, and when you look up at Dave, you realize you're close enough to see through the tinted lenses. He's looking right at you. I think it'll work, you tell him. Are you getting that feeling where it feels like everything is going a little too well, so there must be something we've screwed up? Dave asks. Yes, but I'm a pessimist, you snort. And pull a chalk pen from your bag. You picked these up at the campus store this morning, along with a different brand of pen that's assigned for skin, and shouldn't make you scratch at the ink until you break the circle. I have a comically large compass, David informs you, and pulls the thing out from his bag of holding. It is indeed comically large. You and Dave draw out almost a full circle, and the inner circle, and you carefully set out copying out the spell into the space between the two. What tether are you going for? Dave asks, his fingers resting on the blank bit of the spell in his book for it. I'll go with that Storm and Rain one before if I'm casting this, or are you okay with that one too? You ask him. We got a lot of storms where I come from, so I can relate to storms, Dave tells you. You nod and you start writing that down. This one time when we were kids, I was around June's house at a sleepover, and there was this huge storm all day, thunder and lightning, the works. Then we saw on TV that there was going to be a meteor storm that night, and within no time at all, the whole thing passed, and we sat on her balcony watching all these shooting stars. It was so cool. Storms are magical and powerful as fuck, man, Dave recounts with a smile of nostalgia on his face. What about Rose? You ask curiously. June seems to be equally friends with both the twins, not just one or over the other. Oh, she wasn't, I don't know, sick or something. Come on, your pen's drying up, Dave warns you. He's a transparent liar, but it's fine. You keep copying down the spells, and thankfully you finish the thing up more or less evenly around the circle. It'd probably still work even if the writing was cramped at the end or left a gap. As long as the circle is complete, it should work. It doesn't matter if the aesthetic is dinged up slightly. At least you don't think it matters. Magic is symbolic in a way. Maybe it does care. Alright. You read it out. Sanity check for me. You tell Dave and point at the circle. Sanity? Oh, I think you might be going to the wrong guy for that one, Dave teases. Well, I'll do what I can with my limited resources, you tease back. Well, really, that's just insulting him, because that's how you get people to like you, stupid. Dave doesn't seem offended. Instead, he casually leans over the circle on his knees, one hand resting on one side of it and one hand running over the writing in his notebook. It's a Herculean task to not look at his ass. Truly, you should be proud of yourself. It's a nice ass, too, especially in those jeans, and wait, you're looking at it. Damn it. You wrench your eyes away just as Dave turns to look at you. We're all good in the hood, Dave reassures you. Do you hear the words that you say? You ask him incredulously. All the time. I'm the biggest fan of the words that I say, Dave replies immediately. I was under the impression that Solux was your biggest fan, you say rather stupidly. Dave doesn't get annoyed at your animosity towards his best friend and Moira, though. He just shakes his head. Ah, no, see, he's my second biggest fan, Dave explains. Right, he has that thing for the number 2. I guess it makes sense with his eyes, color, and his tails. May as well lean into it, you say. It comes out in his writing, too. His S's are 2s and he doubles his eyes. Something to do with the demon quirks of the language. He did explain it once to me, but I can't remember. You'll see what I mean if you ever message him, Dave says and rests on his heels as he looks at your shared spell. Right. Anyway, if we're all good in here, then we should test this, you say. Dave nods and gestures for you to do the honors. Given how your last spell went, you're not sure that's a great idea, but you'll go for it, you suppose. Dave rummages in his bag and pulls out a Rubik's Cube, tossing it in the circle. You close up the edges of the circle and take a deep breath. You imagine rain on your skin, howling wind in the air, the way the storm outside your window ravages the trees and the streets outside your dorm. You hold the power of the storm in your mind and touch your fingers to the edge of the circle. Something clicks within you, metaphorically speaking, but it's like stretching and clicking a joint in your back, a pop and a release of pressure. Magic flows through you in a way that feels entirely natural. The circle lights up in that off-white color your magic seems to take. The words light up in the rush, and air glitters within the circle. Light etches a word into the ground by your circle. Cylinder. You and Dave look at the thing in the circle, and that is very definitely a cube. Huh, Dave says. You lick your thumb and rub at the edge of the circle so the chalk melts away, leaving Dave to take the Rubik's Cube out. Let's try a different shape and see what it says, Dave suggests. The two of you rummage around in your bags, and you manage to produce a little stress ball that Kanaya gave you from the office. It has the name of some book publishing company on it, some freebie they got somewhere. She joked that you needed it more than her. It's a perfect sphere shape, though uncomplicated and easy to test with. The stress ball goes into the middle of the circle, you close it up again, and within a few moments thought for the storm, you cast it out. Cylinder. Motherfucker, you groan. Let me try, Dave suggests. It probably is you that's the problem. Watching Dave's side, you can see how he shuts his eyes for a moment and then touches the circle, lighting it up with a flare of neon red. Cylinder. So, it's not me, it's not the item, our spell must be fucked, you conclude. Where, though? Our tether is fine because the spell still activates. The library of shapes it's comparing this to is built into Basic itself. It's standard operating stuff. I didn't make this. It can't be the library. And it's given us the same answer for two totally different things. It doesn't make sense, Dave argues. You don't have an answer for that. You sit back and stare at the circle, hoping something will come to you. Dave does the same with a frustrated little sigh. This would probably be easier with 3 of you, especially Solux, who seems to find this stuff oh so easy. Idly, you rummage in your bag and bring your lip balm to hand. This be a good shape to test with if not for the fact that it is a cylinder, so you'd have no way of knowing if it was answering correctly or bugging you again. Why is it giving you that result? You try to think as you pop the top off the lip balm and automatically rub it over your lips. Why a cylinder? You wonder aloud and then rub your lips together. Dave makes a strange noise, and you look at him, and you look over to see him staring at you. His eyes must be pretty wide because you can see his eyebrows fully above his shades for a change. I mean, it's like you pause and run the lip balm over your lower lip one last time before capping it and holding it up. This is specific shape. Why is it giving us this instead of anything else? Dave says dumbly. What? You ask him. Why are you... That's a super shiny chapstick thing, like fucking lip gloss or something. I don't know. Dave says nonsensically. If you say so. Although, I think chapstick is a brand, like Band-Aids or Jell-O. Pretty sure this is just some generic thing I picked up somewhere. My point was that this is a cylinder, and that's what the spell is returning as a result. You ramble and then try to get back on track. Why are you wearing that, though? Why are you wearing that, though? Dave asks, his face impassive all of a sudden. Because it's cold out. You tell him, feeling bewildered. Sorry. Because it's cold out, you tell him, feeling bewildered. Why is this the route that you've gotten sidetracked down? I mean, it's not that cold that you need all shiny glossy lipped or whatever, Dave rambles. What? I'm sorry, I'll fill in a form to get your permission in the future. Can we stop talking about my chapstick? Can we stop talking about my chapstick usage and focus on the problem at hand here? You groan. I thought that was a brand name, Dave goes on. I'm going to jam my generic off-brand, not actually a chapstick, down your throat in a minute if you don't pay attention, you snap at him. He must be a little embarrassed about getting so stupidly off topic. He's going a little pink on the cheek. Yeah, it's an off topic that he's embarrassed about. Oh, excuse me. I'm trying to not giggle. They're so stupid. Oh my god, they're so stupid. I fucking love them. Oh my god. Okay. There has to be a reason it's giving us a cylinder, not any other shape. What is this? You hold up your lip balm in front of your face, looking past it to your circle. The idea hits you like a lightning bolt. Give me your pen, you tell Dave in a rush. You lean forward over his notebook, flipping to a clean page and taking his pen when he holds it out to you. You draw a cylinder very carefully, and then the outline of your circle at the bottom, and then a big cube around it. This room is magically insulated, right? So the limit of our spell are within these walls and ceiling, you tell him. Sure, Dave says after a moment. Our spell is a circle at the bottom and extends upward, but hits the ceiling at the top. What shape is that? You ask him and hold up your notebook. Cylinder. It's counting the floor and ceiling as ends and the air in it as... Yeah, it's cylinder, Dave says as understanding dawns. It's doing exactly what we asked, just not what we wanted, you say. But how do we get it to do the thing we actually want? Dave asks. Fuck if I know, you sigh. Okay, so we work around it. We could put a height restriction, but no, that wouldn't solve the air problem, Dave mumbles. Define air, you challenge him. Something you can breathe. You can't breathe a stress ball, Dave points out. You can, once, you point out. It's like the whole thing where anything is edible, at least once. Whether you live to do it again is the question. Dave frowns, and the two of you sit in silent contemplation on the problem for a few minutes. States of matter might be a better idea then. Ask the shape of the object in there that isn't a gas. Maybe also put a size thing, so we're excluding dust or whatever, Dave suggests. That sounds smart, you agree with a nod. Oh god, oh good, because I have no idea how to do that. I guess it's what we have to research next. Damn it, I thought we had this, Dave sighs deeply. It's frustrating that you can't just sit down together here for a while and hammer out these rules. But you don't have the room for all that long, and you're supposed to arrive with the spells you need prepared. You have to do your homework, and then come back. We'll just have to book the room again and study between now and then, you tell Dave, and rummage in your bag for the cleaning rag you brought with you and take up the chalk from the floor. You lean over to the circle on your hands and knees and wipe the chalk free of it. It's one of the conditions of renting that you return it to the same state. Put this in the bag, will you? You say, throwing the stress ball over your shoulder to Dave. Sure. Hey, you like movies, right? Dave asks. Looking over his shoulder, you see Dave watching you impassively, your bag held in his hands. Yes, you answer him. Who doesn't like movies of some description? You should watch one. With me, maybe. We Could go back to my dorm, Dave suggests. Oh, right. Solix has been away for ages and Dave's been on his own. That's probably weird for him. You know how lonely that sort of thing can get. You love living with Rose because you're not alone. Then Dave suddenly left all to himself. Even with his friends down the hall and his sister a few floors down, it must be quiet. It's certainly not a pain for you to spend time with him, so you've no problem somewhat selfishly agreeing to this. Yeah, that does sound great, you tell him with a smile. So, Dave stands up and swings his bag of holding over his shoulder. What was it like back home? In Georgia, I mean. Georgia isn't home, you tell him a little sharply and squint at the floor. You can't see any sign of chalk, so you're probably good to go. It is where you're from, isn't it? Dave reasons. No, it's just where I woke up 5 years ago. That doesn't make it home, it just makes it where I lived for a while. You correct him and stand up. For half a decade, Dave says. You have nothing to say to that, so you just toss your things in your bag and shrug the straps on. You don't really sound like you're from there, actually. I'm not really sure where I'd place your accent, Dave muses. Yeah, I've tried identifying that too, but I didn't have any luck, you tell him miserably. Dave gives you a sympathetic expression and opens the door to the practice room. There's not much else the two of you can do until you work out how to correct your spell. You check with the desk so they know the room is free now and head on out. So, my place? Dave asks. It's funny the way he asks, or the way he says it. It's almost like the whole my place or yours type thing. That after a date type thing. Yeah, right. Not only is Dave unlikely to be into your gender, he's even less likely to be into someone like you. He's just being friendly and probably a little lonely without Solix around. That's all. Yeah, sounds good, you agree, instead of voicing any of your incredibly dumb thoughts for once. Dave leads you out of the building, though you know the way, so you don't know why he's doing it. You really don't sound like you're from New York either, though I guess TV lies about New York basically being Manhattan and everyone sounding the same, right? You think aloud, I'm going to eat a stress ball. What were you expecting? Hey, I'm walking here, that kind of thing. Dave snorts, lapsing into a bad TV acting New York accent as the two of you step outside and head to the sidewalk to go back to the dorms. Perfect. Seamless. Flawless. Dave, you should throw in this whole magic thing and go into impressions, you tell him, without so much as an atom of enthusiasm or sincerity. If you tell me I'm a better actor than I am a witch, I will push you into the road, Dave threatens you. But if you don't mean that, then you were acting, which would mean that, nope, you yelp as Dave tries to shove you. You start running out of his grasp, so he chases you and the two of you end up sprinting down the street. You crash through the doors of your building with him right behind you, the two of you giggling like the idiots that you are. Come on, movie, Dave laughs into your shoulder. Your skin tingles, and you're a little helpless when he grabs your wrists and pulls you up the staircase. On the one hand, you hate that he's on the 6th floor and that he has, for some ungodly reason, hasn't taken the elevator. But on the other, he's dragging you behind him, so you get behind him to watch him climb the stairs. So, pros and cons. You should probably say something so he doesn't know about this. Why are there so many goddamn stairs to your floor? You complain. Well, I live on the 6th. If there weren't so many stairs, then the stairs that are still there would be bigger. I suppose you could just have a straight wall or straight walls up, and you can only get up if you parkour up them. Oh, actually, you could totally have a stripper pole going down to the lowest floors from the top, Dave babbles on. Well, that's a mental image. Do you mean a fireman's pole? The kind they have in fire stations? I don't think that's how strippers go between floors. You definitely have those confused. Also, if your fireman takes off his clothes when he arrives somewhere, that's not a fireman. That's kind of a novelty stripper like women have at bachelor parties, or bachelorette parties, you tell him. Oh, shit, you're right. Hey, do you remember those reruns of old Batman TV series, the Adam West ones? Dave starts. Yeah, now that's a guy who was into some wild shit, if what I've read is true, you interrupt. Yeah, man, dude was into some weird orgy shit. Not what I was getting at, though. You know the scene transition noise they used to have? That da-la-la-la sort of zoom in and zoom out? If I worked at a fire station that had one of those poles, I'd break it up to something that made that noise whenever people touch the pole that goes down. Dave grins. I bet someone has done that, you say. Dave starts unlocking his door, and you realize that you got all the way from maybe the 2nd floor stairwell to here, with the two of you constantly talking complete shit at each other. You look at him properly for a moment. His pretty face, the way his soft hair looks desperately touchable. He's upsettingly attractive, but when the two of you get to talking, he's probably the easiest person to talk to that you've ever met. This crush is only going to get worse, isn't it? Shit. He's your friend and you don't want to lose that. But all the same, you do really wish this cute guy was asking you to watch a movie with him as a date and not just a friend thing. You're worried that you're going to suddenly say something stupid, so you divert the sudden silence by grasping in your bag to your lip balm and putting it on. It's a good way to avoid talking. Can't talk when you're putting lip balm on. Although, if you do this every time, you're worried you're going to say the wrong thing to Dave and need to buy time, and then you're going to be looking through your stuff really quickly. On the plus side, you will never have chapped lips from the cold again. Dave unlocks the door and turns to look at you. He pauses for a moment as he watches you, and then shoulders the door open with a slight cough. Come on in, he invites you. Your eyes flick over to the ferret hammock for idiots, currently absent of any four-horned idiots, as it happens. Dave drops his bag near the sofa and hops over the back to sit down, searching for the remote. You put your lip balm away and figure you should face your metaphorical conversational demons head on. You close the door and leave the bag near his, joining him on the sofa the long way around instead of jumping over the back. What do you want to watch? Dave asks, clicking the buttons on the remote to bring up Netflix. Haha, Netflix and nope, bad train of thought. Something good, you tell him, ignoring your thoughts. I must have the room on here somewhere, Dave says thoughtfully. Dave, you know how I'm immune to fire? Do you think you and your dorms are? Because we will find out if you try to put that train wreck of a movie on, you growl at him. Aw, you're no fun, Dave snorts, but obligingly flicks through to something else. You know Rose is determined to figure out what you are. She knows that you want to know, and she loves a mystery. Can't keep her nose out of a good puzzle, Dave tells you. Yeah, I didn't know she was going through any kind of effort to find out, you say, genuinely touched. Yeah, man, Rose likes you. You should be honored. She doesn't like many people. I mean, I love my sister and all, but she can be real standoffish. She can be a real standoffish bitch to people she doesn't care about, Dave tells you. Your breath catches in your chest as emotions well up in you. I really like her. Dave looks around at you sharply, staring at you. It's just good to hear she likes me too, you know? You whisper, your throat tight. Oh, Dave says softly. Dude, he adds, and he puts his hand on your shoulder. I swear I told you before that she's super fucking gay. I don't like her like that, you snap and bat his hand away. Really? Yeah, I mean, good. That would suck if you did, for you, Dave says in a rush. You sniff and rub at your face, feeling silly. I know it's stupid. You've probably always had friends, but I haven't. I really like all of you and being friends with all of you, especially Rose, because we live together. It's really important to me. I figured when I moved here that at best I'd live with someone who'd tolerate me, and we could avoid pissing each other off in our shared spaces. But I live with Rose, and it feels like home. I've never had that, you admit. It's been so different, though. You never wanted to go back to Georgia, but you accepted that it might still happen if you couldn't stand it here. If people here disliked you as much as people did there. The very idea of walking back to your old building fills you with shame. But somehow it all turned out so much better. Now you're just blubbering about it to Dave. He probably thinks you're being weird. Sorry. You apologize faintly. He just wanted you here to watch a movie with him, and you went and had all these feelings at him. No, it's not. No, Dave says. You have no idea what he means by that. Dave goes to run a hand through his hair, but it's still holding the remote, so he has to stop and drop it or else smack himself in the head. He realizes that just in time, too. She likes you too, and like I said, she's picky with people, Dave tells you. June said she blinded a guy once, you say without thinking. In her defense, that guy was a jerk. He'd been trying to pick on her and me for ages, and it wasn't like it was a spell she learned. It was just instinctive magic. They didn't even work out what she did. The guy's eyes worked perfectly fine, but he just couldn't see things anymore. I think it wore out after a few years, too. That's what I'd heard through other kids, but his parents pulled him out of school. She didn't mean to. Also, don't bring that up with her. Dave adds that last part quickly. Ouch. Yeah, you're not going to bring that up to Rose. The rest of us like you, too, you know, Dave says after a moment. Your eyes flicker upwards to the empty hammock above you. You're not sure you describe Solix's feelings towards you as liking at all. He's complicated, but I mean it. Juna's decided that you're her stray little duckling or something, and I haven't heard Jade say a bad word about you either, Dave adds. Sorry, we were supposed to be watching a movie, and I went on this stupid tangent, you groan. It's nice hearing that your friends like you too, but it's seriously embarrassing to get all torn up about it in front of a guy you like. Yeah, way to ensure your crush likes you, getting distressingly emotional about the idea that people liking you in any way. There's a tip that no relationship expert has given ever. You won't find that one in any magazines. Tangents are the best things to go on. And if you're if you're that sorry, we could watch The Room too, Dave starts. I'm not that sorry. You cut him off, and Dave grins victoriously. He wanted you to say that sneaky fucker. Dave puts on a movie, something you don't catch the title of, but melt into his sofa to watch anyway. Is that Justin Timberlake? You ask after a moment. The premise of the movie is that everyone has this magical stuff on their arm. When they hit 20-something, they have a year left to live, unless they add more time by working. It's an unsubtle poverty as death metaphor, but it's enjoyable enough. He's not as bad at acting as you'd think, right? Dave agrees, slouched next to you on the sofa. And that's Amanda, what's her name from You Struggle to Remember Her Name? Jennifer's Body, Dave interrupts. Mamma mia, Jennifer's Body? Seriously? That MTV crap? You ask him skeptically. You said Mamma Mia, dude. You don't have a leg to stand on there. Dave counters. Mamma Mia is fantastic and a moving production. Thank you very much. You inform him. Dave does not seem convinced. Your differing tastes in movies aside, it is pretty decent. You both seem to be settled on that much. It's not film of the year by any means, but it's fun. He isn't that bad of an actor, you conclude as the credits roll. I told you so, Dave says, and stretches his arm above his head. I guess it's not that much acting. Who wouldn't commit crimes for Amanda Seyfried? Shit, that was her last name. I remembered it now. You say. You raise a fair point. What about Justin Timberlake, though? Would you commit crimes for him? Dave asks, not looking at you. Instead, he's fiddling with the remote again. Nah, I never got the hype around him. He's just a guy. You shrug. No, your type is more the endearingly lovable, sweet dork. Like, say, Dave. Or, if you're going for famous people, Chris Pratt. Yeah, I mean, you've got a point, huh, guys. Oh, hey, let me get a thing for you from the other room I meant to show you. Stay here, Dave says quickly and stands up. Sure, you nod, and helpfully put the remotes back on the coffee table, so Dave doesn't sit on them when he gets back, and they don't get lost in the depths of the sofa. That always happened to you at your last place. Dave vanishes into his bedroom, and you idly fuck about on the phone for a minute or two before he comes back again. Check this out, Dave says and holds something out to you. It's a rock, you note, looking at it. You should say something else. It's very pretty, you venture. It's kind of shiny and black, like jet. Take it, Dave offers. You hold out your hand and Dave drops the rock into it. A weird feeling flashes through you, like touching tinfoil to a filling or something. It's magically neutral. It balances out all magical charges. Mom says it's all voidy. Isn't it cool? Dave says. Yeah, it's really odd. That is cool, you say and hand it back to him. You feel a little bit tingly now. I know, right? I'll go put it back, Dave mutters and leaves again. That was a little weird. You wonder what made him want to go and get that to show you. Who knows how Dave thinks, though. Hey, I was thinking that if I look up how to describe states of matter so we could exclude air from our spell, maybe you could focus in on how to word that exclusion without messing up what we actually put in it. Split the workload, you know? You call after him. Yeah, we can do that. I guess we should get started, right? Dave agrees, leaning around his doorway to look at you. Alright, well, you have my work schedule from before, so just book whatever works for you for our next test, and I'll try not to drop the ball on my end of the research, you say and stand up. Dave agrees, so you end up leaving. When you get back to your place, Rose isn't there, so you end up working entirely alone. To keep yourself company, you leave the news on the TV running in the background. Only one story drags your attention from your work to the screen. Has come under serious delays. The storm alone has caused enough of a delay, and inexplicable clown protests have slowed supplies going in and out of the dig site. However, it is uncertain if the dig will continue after the unexpected death of the lead and deputy magical archaeologists. Both men were seen last night leaving a bar with this woman, the newsreader says, and your jaw drops when you see a human-looking woman who is definitely Latula with her arm around two men. The two men were discovered in the morning in a hotel room in what is believed to be by authorities to be an autoerotic asphyxiation gone wrong. The police are still looking for the woman from the bar. This latest death has spread rumors that the dig site may be cursed, and there is growing grassroots pressures online to call the whole dig off. Back to you, Peter, the newsreader says, and the story switches. Oh, Solix is absolutely tangled up in whatever the fuck is going on there. You're sure of it. I'm on to you. You inform the TV, entirely pointlessly. With your point effectively made, you turn the TV off and go to your room. That's kind of like winning an argument with someone who isn't even there, or technically even arguing with you. It's late at night when you hear Rose come back in, and she goes straight to her room before you can even come out to say hi. Another mystery that you have no way of solving or doing anything about. Great. When morning comes, you head over to the library. You have an early shift with Kanaya today. You yawn as you come into the office and sit down with her. Good morning, Carcat, Kanaya says pleasantly as she types away on her computer. Do you sleep? You ask her as you drop your bag in the corner. I can. I don't usually, though. Rough night for you? She asks curiously, looking east sidelong. No more than usual, just not awake yet, you admit and sit down. Kanaya's already done the hourly check-in of books, it seems. Miss Paint wanted to talk to you. I'll tell her that you're here. I need to feed the dangerous books anyways, Kanaya says and gets up, tucking her chair neatly back under the desk. Wait, did I do something? Should I be concerned? You ask Kanaya worriedly. Miss Paint is a nice lady, but you're also of the opinion that she's not someone you want to cross at all. Don't worry, Carcat, she says softly and ruffles your hair as she leaves. You have about 5 minutes of terror before your boss shows up. Miss Paint, as always, is wearing soft pastel colors and a gentle, knowing smile on her face. When she opens the door to your office, you tense up. Carcat, please have a seat. Miss Paint smiles at you, even though this is the room you work in, and if anything, you should be offering her a seat, not the other way around. Nevertheless, you pull out Kanaya's chair and awkwardly sit in it, as she takes the one that you usually sit in. Do you like working here? Miss Paint asks casually, folding one leg over the other and rearranging her skirt. I do. I really like it. Are you firing me? Did I do something wrong? You ask in a small voice. Miss Paint's face crinkles into a smile, her longer ears shifting with the movement. No, of course not. How are you finding your studies so far? She asks instead, shifting the conversation onwards. I'm enjoying them. Understanding how magic is written is hard, but it's like a satisfying puzzle kind of hard. Why? You ask. I asked your languages professor how you were getting on. I wanted to know if she would be amenable to me tutoring you privately in library matters. She mentioned that you had quite the interesting first exam, Miss Paint explains. That's one word for it. I'd say confusing or humiliating, but sure, interesting works as well. You agree sullenly. A lot of your other classmates have started giving you weird looks ever since then. It's not something that you're a fan of. Well, I think that this means you have great magical potential. If you'd be interested, there's a lot of advanced magics that we use here at the library that it'd benefit you to learn. No doubt it'd help you in your studies, but it would also help you here. Given enough time, we could grant you access to the restricted section as well. It would certainly be very useful work experience for after you graduate. That is, if you're planning on moving on to something else after your studies, instead of being a lifelong student like Kanaya, Miss Paint says with a teasing wink. She's offering to train you up so you can boast more on your future resume. Your studies here might be free, but when you graduate, you're going to be out of a home and out of money. Working here helps you save up, but getting niche experience and training in the library field would be incredibly helpful in securing you a future job. Holy shit, yes, I'd be interested. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. I would love the opportunity, Miss Paint. You correct yourself hastily. Wonderful. I'll set aside some extra shifts to start teaching you a few extra things, and I'll get a few books out for you. We can go at your own pace, of course. Miss Paint nods. Over Miss Paint's shoulder, you see movement, and when you look up, you see Rose hesitating on the other side of the glass. Her eyes lock with yours, and she backs up. Miss Paint looks around to see what you're looking at. It's my roommate, you explain. Miss Paint kicks off and wheels her chair backwards, opening the door when she reaches it. Miss, you can come in, please do, Miss Paint calls to her. Rose shifts uneasily, but with slumped shoulders, she walks into your office. I needed to return some books, but there's a problem, Rose admits unhappily as she closes the door behind her, so it's the three of you in the room. Is something overdue? Have you lost one? Miss Paint asks. Rose shakes her head and hands 2 books to you, but keeps the third in her hands. Curiously, you check the 2 books she gave back to you with no problems. You're familiar by now how to flick through the books to look for sites of damage. Oh, Miss Paint whispers. You look around and see that she has the 3rd book now. Both parts of it. The book is neatly cut down the spine lengthways, separating it exactly halfway. Miss Paint is staring at it in silent horror. I had to go back home, Rose says to the floor, not looking at either of you. My mother needs someone there regularly, and normally we have someone who goes back, but right now it's me and my brother who go back. She's got this obsession, I suppose. Cutting things in half is one of them, but she's never done it to books before. She loves books. She loved the library. Rose says tightly. Dr. Lalonde, you look just like her. You must be Rose, yes? I knew your mother years ago, Miss Paint says gently. Rose nods, still not looking up. Miss Paint sighs softly and pulls her chair to the desk, setting the two halves of the book on the table. I'll pay whatever fine I have to. It won't be a problem, Rose whispers. You don't think it's the money that's the issue. She's clearly humiliated to have to come here with this problem. She's actually made very clean work of this, separated the book neatly down by the atoms. There's no real damage at all. I can absolutely reverse this. Just give me a moment, Miss Paint tells her. She raises her thumb and index finger together and swoops her hand above the book like she's starting a needle through something. She goes back and forth as she works. The air starts to glow in a soft pastel green light. When she gets to the end, she pulls her hand back and the two halves of the book come together again and snap shut. There's not even a mark on the cover. Miss Paint lifts up the book calmly and calmly flicks through it. There we go. No harm, no foul. I know Roxy wouldn't have meant to damage a book like this on purpose. These things happen. I'll go check this book in for you. Carcat, sweetheart, thank you for coming in so early for your shift. You can go now. Miss Paint smiles at you. You just got here, but you think she's suggesting that you leave with Rose, and you're not going to argue with her. Thank you, Miss Paint, you say quickly and snatch up your bag. Rose still seems surprised that there's no punishment for returning in the book in that state, so she goes with you on kind of autopilot when you gently herd her from the library. The two of you walk in silence for a bit across the square by the library, but eventually she talks. Aren't you going to ask 1,000 intrusive and nosy questions about why my famous mother would do such a thing? Rose asks you sharply. You stop and look at her. There's a shadow cast over both of you from a giant metal statue of the very woman you're talking about. I figured if you wanted to tell me something, you would, you say quietly. Rose sighs, her gaze falling to the floor. She walks a few steps and turns to sit on the stone steps that raise the plinth of her mother's statue ever higher. She was a genius, you know. Everyone knows about the fantastic Dr. Roxy Lalonde. She was nice and funny and utterly brilliant, Rose sighs. You sit down with her. I've never really known that woman, Rose admits softly. How come? You ask after a moment. There was some accident, I suppose. Some spell she did, or some deal she made. We don't know exactly because she was always very secretive with her work. It got worse after she had us. It progressed. She couldn't work anymore, not here. She's still a genius, of course, though that honestly makes things more complicated. For a while, she still worked at our home, but then she wouldn't leave it, wouldn't let other people in, became confused and paranoid. That's why we couldn't let you see her That's why we couldn't let her see you all that night. It took years of June coming around before she would even tolerate her with us. If she caught June in the house without me or Dave there, she'd freak out and attack her, Rose admits. What about Solux? You ask in surprise. She thinks he's great. He was the one going back every day to check on her. Check she's eaten, check she's not doing anything magically dangerous, check that she's alright. We couldn't have both come here if he didn't do it. Right now, me and Dave are stuck alternating days and both missing classes because Solix can teleport right back into the house. We have to teleport to a port, pay for that, and then get a cab all the way to our quite out of the way home, and then come back again. We can't do that forever, Rose says miserably. And she won't tolerate anyone else checking in on her, you conclude. She still knows more than enough about magic to be dangerous. Her magical ability and knowledge is one of the things that hasn't deteriorated over time. It's me, Dave, Solux, or no one, Rose explains. So all this time, Solux has been checking in on Dave and Rose's mother and looking after her, using his ability to teleport to care for someone he's not even related to. You doubt they're paying him for it, or that he'd be interested in that. It's really out of the goodness of his own heart. And here people think that Solux is evil because he's a demon. I'm more than happy to take notes on anything you want for you, or anything else you can think of to make things easier. Really, you tell her. Rose sniffs and delicately wipes under her eyes, careful not to smudge her eyeliner or dark mascara. She's not crying, but her eyes are pretty watery with emotion. Thanks. I've been trading notes with Dave, but it couldn't hurt to look at yours. I venture they would have fewer dicks doodled in the margins, Rose laughed weakly. I can promise you that, you snort in amusement. You're not even a little surprised that Dave would do that. I can't stand people knowing about it. There's enough speculation as it is about the little people. There's There's enough speculation as is about the little people do know. About the little people do know, I see. Did she do it to herself, or was it something else? What happened to her great mind? It's such a tragedy for her and her poor children. People just gawk and offer fake sympathy. I hate it, Rose says bitterly. I would have thought you'd end up with some kind of social care for that stuff. After the event, I was young enough that I had someone come in and check on me regularly, you say. You don't mention how badly that system worked, how suddenly overloaded every social care department was, and how as long as you weren't starving, they assumed that you weren't human at all and didn't need the same care. As it happened, you were fine on your own, but they didn't have any right to assume that. Somehow that never happened for us. The house is pretty much impossible to find unless you've already been there. Mom voided the place out magically, so I supposed anyone looking for us wouldn't have been able to track us down, Rose says. You hope Rose and Dave don't have to keep going back to their house, especially as it seems like there's no way to get anyone else to cover in them. What's weirder is that if Solix was willing to devote so much time to it before, then he wouldn't just drop it for no reason. Whatever he's doing must be incredibly important to him. However much you do or don't like Solix, it's clear that he's a pretty selfless person when it comes to the people he cares about. So the question remains, what's so vitally important? I doubt my boss is going to breathe a word of this to anyone, and I won't either. Come on, let me buy you a coffee, you offer, giving Rose a squeeze around the shoulders with the arm that you have around her. You stand up and offer her a hand, pulling her to her feet when she takes it. Her smile is grateful, if a touch embarrassed. You don't think you should bring this up more than you have, but just being empathetic here is probably going about this the best way you can deal. So, Rose says in a clear attempt to change the topic. Dave said that the two of you were experimenting on your work for the basic worksheet. How's that going? We're running into a few problems, but we at least know what we've got to fix. We're splitting the work as well. It'd be easier with 3 people, but it's going fine, you nod. We're on the second part of the project, Rose tells you, and you childishly stick your tongue out at her. He also mentioned that your study session devolved into movie watching, Rose notes. He tried to make me watch The Room, Rose. He's a monster, you say with a shudder. I didn't get the title of what you watch, only that it was to do with time, and it had Justin Timberlake in it, she says. Good job passing that information on accurately, Dave. It was in time. It was fine. The movie was fun, at least. Nice romance, despite how Justin Timberlake isn't someone I can really buy in a romantic role, though he is a better actor than he is a singer, you tell her. Uh-huh. That must have been interesting for you, though, watching a movie alone with my brother, Rose says. She gives you a look as you stare at her. Rose leans in, her expression conspiratorial. Especially given your feelings, Rose whispers. What feelings? You yell. Your voice bounces off the walls of the nearby buildings, and Rose's evil expression only deepens. Your feelings of being far too seen are only amplified by the startled pedestrians around you staring. We are not talking about this, you hiss at her, and march on to the coffee place that you and Dave favor together. Perhaps not the best place for avoiding thinking about feelings that you very much are having for him. Rose lets the matter go and allows you to buy her coffee, but the sly smile on her face tells you that the subject of you and Dave will not be dropped forever. Several days go by, and each morning you pay close attention to the news. The storm battering Japan hasn't let up one bit, and there's talk now that it's unnatural. The clowns surrounding the dig site have started properly interfering with the archaeologists, switching their gear out for joke items. In retaliation, the police have tried arresting the clowns, but they seem tricksy, though it has led to a lot of very entertaining footage of Japanese police officers chasing clowns only to slip on banana peels. You don't know if this is the darkest timeline, but it's certainly the weirdest. Hooray! Chapter end! End of chapter. Oh my god. Ba-ba-ba-da-bum-bum-ba-bum. Ba-ba-ba-da-bum. I love looking through comments, baby. I'm very excited. We're not gonna. It actually was pretty short for another chapter. That took me only like about 50 minutes to read. I would do. Sino, are you pretty tired? I imagine you're too tired to go on to do a second chapter. So if you tell me no, then I'll probably unstream. Or maybe I'll stream a little bit, but we'll just draw or something. I don't know. But if you're not feeling it, then I don't want to keep going. Yeah, I don't have a second one, mate? No worries. All right. Then we will stop there, and we will do Chapter 8 tomorrow. Chapter 8 is... I looked ahead a little bit. Chapter 8's a fun one. I'm excited for Chapter 8. And I won't accidentally scroll through it, so... yeah. But this chapter was fun. We got a little bit of... Oh my god, they're so idiots. I love Unda's Dave Cat, because this is like perfect Unda Dave Cat, where they're both like, Karkat is like in his mind thinking like, there's not even a possibility that Dave Strider is into me in any way, shape, or form. And so any attempts that Dave is making to like like, you know, hint, or not even hint, but like is obviously showing that he's like getting flustered by Karkat. Karkat's just like, I don't know what's his deal. It's so funny to me. They're both just so oblivious, and it's so great. Oh, it's so funny to me. They're so stupid. They are so stupid. Dave, like, clearly asking Karkat on essentially, like, a little mini date of, like, hey, let's watch a movie together back at my place. And Karkat's like, yeah, oh, he must be lonely, because there's no way this is, like, a crush thing. Like, haha, that'd be so funny if this was, like, a date. Like, oh, that would be so, like, oh my god, can you imagine it'd be a date? But no, there's no way. Like, you know, that's not possible. So, yeah, very, very amusing. But, fun chapter. So, kind of short. But hey, that's, you know, we get it done. So I will, write the summary for this chapter and throw it in our little summary book thingy. Yeah, the next chapter is fun. I won't say anything about it because obviously I don't want to spoil shit. But next chapter is very, very fun. Things start picking up next chapter is all I'll say. So yeah. This chapter is short because the next two are chonkers. Yes, absolutely. Chapter 9 is also pretty big. But next chapter is a decent chunk. So we'll tackle that tomorrow night, which will be exciting. So I was gonna doodle, but I have schoolwork stuff to work on. So I think I will just end stream, and we get a bit of an early end to stream tonight. I appreciate everybody who came to hang out. And I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place, 9 p.m. EST, for Chapter 8 of Ultimate Universe. So thank you guys all for hanging out. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your night, or day, or wherever you are. And I will talk to you all very, very soon. Good night. Good night, good night, night. Bye-bye. Good night. Wow. I'm waving as I'm saying good night. Bye-bye.